the league. And if you're new to our channel, we cover teams
Stories.
that are cover teams and stories that just don't get the love nationally like they should. And we're Detroit Lions fans, and we know all about that. We know all about the disrespect and being kind of overlooked, and that happens to teams this time of year where everyone's kind of excited, but at the same time, there's things being overlooked. So we'll start with our first guy that is really interesting, and that's Tykee Smith out of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now,
Yep.
it's interesting, Craig, because this guy fills into that secondary. We know about Carlton Davis. They traded Carlton Davis to us, but Tykee Smith, and I'll get to some of the things that their head coach was talking about. But what I like about him is that he provides depth at safety, nickel, corner, depth for now, but could play a vital role. When you see these rookies come in and have the kind of like they step right in. This is again why NFL is so popular, but they can step right in and make a difference. When you see a guy like Tykee Smith come in for a team that went to the playoffs last year and really fill some voids, just thoughts on that as I pull up kind of what he's doing so far.
Yeah, when you talk about a guy who can play around the entire defensive backfield, like you're happy. And when you get a guy out of Tykee Smith, you're getting him out of the factory that is Georgia, right? I mean, Georgia is basically an NFL defense in college. It seems like that every single year. And now I'm not saying all their players are drafted and have immediate success. That's not necessarily what happens, but they come in and they're pretty darn NFL ready. And you're looking at a guy who has played all over. He played primarily in the slot. He's kind of listed as a safety, but when he was in college, he played a lot in the slot. I mean, last year he played 430 snaps in the slot of the 630 snaps that he got. The other ones, he played deep sometimes. He played in the box. He kind of played safety down in the box a lot, and even outside corner every once in a while. So, I mean, this is a guy who really did everything in college in the SEC against, I'm not going to say the best teams, but the best talent for sure. The most elite athletes in college football.
Yeah, it's so huge. And it's like, I love that. I love seeing that. So he did twist his ankle up a little bit. So he tweaked his ankle. But before that, Todd Bowles said that. So he's got his football IQ is great. So he comes in, he's picked up everything without missing a beat. He has the experience of a 7 or 8 year player. And that's just what you're talking about. I mean, you go to Georgia, you're playing big time atmospheres, big time teams. You're pro defense. He has some things to learn, but he plays so calm and plays under control. He knows where everything is and he can read everything. Along with his toughness, he's a perfect fit for us. So the Buccaneers are an interesting team to me. They don't have a star quarterback, but they've got good enough quarterback. They don't have like star players, but they have really good players. I mean, they do have a few star players. Don't get me wrong, but
Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. He's all right.
Yeah, they're not like a team that you're just like, oh man, look out. It's more like, hey, we need things to go the right way. We need to win our division, get a home playoff game, the exact formula they did last year, and we're right in the mix. And so they trade away Carlton Davis, who's a really good player, and they're just like, we have confidence we can draft well. So they do. And now they can pick right up where they left off a year ago. And again, nobody's really talking about this team. And that's what makes it interesting to me. And so to find a guy like this in the 3rd round that's ready to pick things up and go, so huge.
Yeah, it's huge. And that's the thing about Tampa Bay. Like when I look at the early returns on who's favored to win the South, like for my money, it's the Bucs. Like and everybody's now saying the Falcons. It's like, all right, they got Kirk Cousins. Great. Well, the Buccaneers have Baker, and we know Baker works in this system. Right. Now, I understand that they lost their offensive coordinator. They're bringing a new one in. That's part of the struggles that you have when you have a defensive-minded head coach, right? Is how do you keep that offensive consistency? But that's why you spend draft picks on players like this so you can stay strong on the other side of the ball as your offense learns under the new system and things. But it's going to be a similar type of play calling. It's not like they're going to deviate too far from it. So why Tampa Bay did it before? They haven't lost much of anything. So why would we not be saying, all right, let's go for it. Let's see what they have. And by the way, it's not like they were a bad team last year. They went into the playoffs, played a red hot Lions team, and played them fairly tough.
Yeah.
Like this is good, but they had to get to them first. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of impressed with this team overall.
I am too, and I'm really excited for them because you nailed it. They haven't lost anybody of note, and they're
No,
going to be just fine. And Baker just works here, and I think that's a great point. Is Baker a good
yeah,
quarterback? Is he bad? Is he this? Is he that? It's like I don't know,
he works
but
here.
he works here, so
Yeah.
whatever. I don't. It's like I don't even know. So it's really interesting to kind of see how that's all playing out, and kind of what are some other things that we can look for. And so, another thing that I was just gonna show you real quick is this guy. So oh, stand by.
Standing.
Yaya. Yaya, what's up? Outside
What's
linebacker,
up?
6'4", 270. I'm really just kind of curious on these guys, right? Because you're like, all right, what's going on?
Yeah, clearly going to be a
Diaby.
pass rusher, right?
Yeah, just like, are you kidding me? So there's kind of this outside linebacker pass rusher guy. And so one of the things, and the reason I bring him up is because I think Tampa Bay has more athleticism on the defensive side of the ball than we give them credit for. The Lions
Mhm.
played them really well both times they played, but you could see the
The
talent on
defense.
defense, and it's really
Yeah.
just a bad matchup for Tampa Bay to go against the Lions, and
Yeah.
so, but they have a defense that's going to keep them in games. And we're just talking about this rookie. We're talking about their linebackers are good. They've got good defensive linemen, so their defense keeps them in games. They've got talent, and so that's what's going to be interesting to see if they can just play well enough offensively. The recipe's there for this team to win the
Well,
division.
yeah, and what they did in the draft this year was really good, right?
Mhm.
So I would say the biggest difficulty on this team was the interior offensive line.
Mhm.
Like Rashad White's a good running back. He's a
Yes.
good running back, and everybody talks about how he's a phenomenal pass catcher, but he wasn't that effective in the run game. Yeah, because the interior offensive line wasn't good. So you go and get Graham Barton out of Duke, who might be the best interior offensive lineman with Jackson Powers Johnson in this entire draft, right?
Mhm.
Then you're like, you know what else they're missing? They have Kalijah Cansey on the inside. They have Vita Vea, but they're missing that true pass rushing edge. So in the second round, they go after Chris Braswell out of Alabama, who has the ability to become that pass rushing edge, right? And then we've already talked about Tykee Smith, the Swiss Army knife in the back end. I think that'd be really good. I don't know if he's going to play safety or nickel in the NFL. Then they go get Jalen McMillan, who's going to probably fill in at the slot almost immediately, or at least make some effort against Trey Palmer, right? Then you go get Bucky Irving out of Oregon. So, like, I just look at this to back up Rashad White because Rashad White's usage was so darn high last year, right?
Mhm.
So, I just like what they did. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. I just thought they had a very smart draft. They did a good job of getting value at the time, and it just so happened to fill needs.
100%. 100% agree with you, and that's what we're talking about. They didn't lose anybody of note, so it's going to be very hard to pick against them in this division. But we know it's a division that kind of cycles through some things, so I get
Yeah.
that. But at the same time, this is a good team, and they do have a tough schedule. But excited to see what they do this year.